Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positivity here on the show. Positive vibes through the roof, galore positive vibes. And with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He has worked for numerous promotions around the Texas area. I'm talking about Dog Pound Championship Wrestling, Texas Style Wrestling, and also part of the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA. I'm pleased to welcome the one and only Nathaniel Greysin to the show. Welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
Thank you, Stanley. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for all your fans and listeners tuning in. I'm very, very, very excited to be here with you this evening.
Absolutely. And pleasure is all mine. So let's get started. Where are you from? Let's talk about your childhood.
Yeah, so I was originally born in Houston, Texas, and then very early on in my life, we moved here to San Antonio, Texas, and I've been here in San Antonio ever since. I've moved out a couple of times, right, to a couple of different cities, but San Antonio is where I call home. It's where I grew up, and it's where we're trying to start a career and start a family and start a life.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of people are moving out there too.
Yeah, San Antonio's one of the fastest growing cities in Texas. I remember when I moved here 24 years ago, there was not a lot of anything, and now there's a lot of everything. So yeah, San Antonio is it's not only a booming community for people, but it is also becoming such a hotbed for professional wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, so many legends have come out of Texas. I mean, Shawn Michaels, come on, Shawn Michaels,
Yeah.
San Antonio, Undertaker, Booker T, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, so many great legends are from that state, and it's such a huge wrestling territory in its own right, going back to the Dory Funk and Terry Funk days. You had the Von Erich family as well from that area. So I just think it's so amazing to see how wrestling has evolved and progressed over time, especially in a place like Texas. I went to my first WrestleMania in Dallas, Texas. When
We don't always include Dallas in like the Texas talkings, but for the sake of argument, we'll include them this time. But man, we don't talk too much about that city up there, that stadium up there, that football team up there that's playing right now. I'm not a big fan of like Dallas area, Dallas sports, Dallas. Yeah, Dallas is all right. Well, they're kind of like the cousin that you invite to Christmas just because you have to.
you know, um, it was a thrill for me to go to Mania that year. Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out of retirement to wrestle Kevin Owens, and it was huge. When I went because so many people were there. It's a big stadium. If you haven't been to
Yeah.
AT&T, it's huge. So it's amazing. Getting to see all the greats over the years. Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H. Who were some of your favorites growing up as a kid watching wrestling?
Oh man, so I was a 90s kid, so the obvious ones, right? Sting, Stone Cold, Goldberg. I was a big NWO kid. And then growing up and getting like a little bit older and exploring a little bit more, the wrestling landscape changed, right? CM Punk was a very big early influence. Guys like AJ Styles, the Motor City Machine Guns when they were still separate. I was a very big like early 2000s TNA Ring of Honor like tape trader. In those days, you didn't like like trade tapes, you downloaded clips off of like LimeWire and gave your computer like 1,000 viruses.
Oh my
But that was
goodness.
the only way in 2003, 2004 that you were gonna see like a CM Punk versus an AJ Styles for the Ring of Honor Pure title.
And it's so fascinating too, that high flying agility, uh, pure based wrestling. To me, like you think about it 20 years ago, it's crazy to see how that style has influenced wrestling today. Like so many promotions have utilized that level of intensity that TNA and Ring of Honor really brought to the table back in those days, and a lot of the talent are now in WWE.
I mean, all of the talent that all of the talent that I grew up like watching or like idolizing or like being influenced by have all ended up in very prominent like situations or jobs really, right, within the wrestling world. Even guys that like aren't exactly on TV like every single week. Like Abyss. Abyss is one of like the top backstage producers for WWE. Petey Williams, same thing. So like that entire era of guys is just like they're phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Homicide, Xavier, Samoa Joe, all of these guys were just so phenomenal and so different growing up, right? When you're coming out of those Monday Night Wars, when you're coming out of WCW versus WWF, seeing this whole new crop of guys on the independent scene was just like it was literally like an Oz moment. Like, oh, black and white, and here comes color. So it is so cool now, 20 years later, seeing all of these guys that I grew up watching being ultra successful at multiple levels of this industry. It's awesome.
It really is. And for you, what was it about wrestling that made you go, I could really do this for a living? I could really pursue this.
Oh man, so there was really like two moments, right, in my life. There's one when I don't even know how old I was. It was 1998. I know it was 1998, February of 1998. My dad took me to a pay-per-view, WWF No Way Out of Texas. This was the build-up pay-per-view to WrestleMania 14. And so Kane fought Vader at that show, and that whole thing, the whole production of what Vader versus Kane was just so mesmerizing to me as a child that like I knew I needed to like figure out a way to join this circus. So I've known since like 1998 that this is what I wanted to do. As you live life as a young man, you discover different priorities, different things in life. And so throughout my teens and my 20s, I was a little bit more selfish and I was a little more self-focused, and I was more interested in the now than the future. And so I really I didn't pursue my wrestling dream at all. I was really more focused on having fun. Um, and so I believe it was TNA. TNA came and ran a show here in San Antonio. They had like, and it wasn't it was just like a house show. It wasn't like an Impact taping or a pay-per-view. It was just a show at a brewery. And at the time, me and my dad and my friends were really into the product that TNA had. This was around the time of like Tessa Blanchard being built up before she won the world title. Sammy Callahan, Moose. So they have like a really, really impressive roster, and they still do. But we ended up going to this show at this brewery, and the beers were flowing, and it's hot. Like it's so hot, we're sweating. It's like making us even more drunk. And I just remember looking over at my friend that I was in the crowd with, and I just told him, I was like, dude, like we could do this. Like we could be professional wrestlers, and we could go to like there's plenty of schools here in San Antonio. Like we could do it, man. And, as with most drunk conversations, somebody is super serious and somebody is just drunk. And it turns out between the two of us, I was the super serious one.
Once you have a dream, you have to go for it. And so with you, talk about wrestling school. What was your experience learning how to wrestle, training? Because it is really hard. You have to really put your body through so much in order to master so many techniques in the business.
Yeah, man. So, training to be a wrestler, maybe I can only speak to my experience, right? So, I always knew that this is what I wanted to do. My bathroom growing up was a library for wrestling biographies. So and then also at that time, right? Context is everything. So, like in those early 2000s, there was this little show called Tough Enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a real Tough Enough, right? Like it was a real reality show. So, I was fairly mentally prepared for what I was about to endure for wrestling school. So I was not like shell shocked, the hard work, the physicality. I was very mentally, I was prepared to go through this. Physically, I was not prepared for what everything would entail. Um, I I've been training now for 4 years. I still continuously train with the Dog Pound Dojo here in San Antonio. And if this is not something that you absolutely love, if this is not something that you are absolutely passionate about, you will probably not make it too far, too long. Even just in wrestling training, they're long nights, they're long days. I think that's the part that a lot of people don't fully understand is that there's still life happening outside. It's not like it's more of a trade school than a college or a university. With college and university, you become, a part of the machine. You're living there. Everything you're doing is breathing, Texas State, whatever it is. But here with wrestling school, you still have a life. You still have a job, family, friends, expectations on top of trying everything that you can to pursue this dream. And so, I've been training now for 4 years straight. The majority of those 4 years with Rodney Mack and Jazz here at the Dog Pound Dojo, and the amount of knowledge that Rodney Mack and Jazz have been able to give to me, to instill in me, has been just completely remarkable. The amount of patience and time that they have been willing to take, not just with myself, but with so many other people. It's truly remarkable. I don't think that Rodney Mack and Jazz get as much credit as they deserve in the wrestling industry for being just as influential and as good of people as they really truly are. Um, I've been with Rodney Mack and Jazz since 2021, and I've seen multiple people for multiple different reasons, good, bad, ugly, be taken in by them, right? Be housed, be sheltered for them. And so, yeah, the I have been super blessed and I have been super lucky that I have been able to become involved with such a good-hearted group with Rodney Mack and Jazz, and then all the other people that are with us here at the Dog Pound Dojo. We are living a truly special moment in wrestling time and wrestling history. And I think that over these past 4 years, putting my trust in the process that the Dog Pound Dojo has, put in my trust and faith in myself and with my coaches and my family has proven to be nothing but beneficial. And I'm very excited for the future and what 2025 and beyond has lined up, not just for myself, but for Dog Pound, for NWA Texas, and for wrestling in general.
Yeah, I mean, we are literally in a boom period for the business. I mean, so many promotions are firing on all cylinders right now. You got WWE, you got AEW, you got TNA, New Japan. All these promotions are succeeding. NWA, it's incredible. And I had Jazz on my show recently, and she was talking about her school and starting up with Rodney Mack. It's really fascinating to hear about, you know, the people that have attended the school and have gone through the school, such as yourself, and they really do an incredible job of giving back to the business. I really can't thank them enough for keeping, the spirit of professional wrestling still alive.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what you were talking about with that early 2000s style, right? Of that very athletic, very competitive. And I think that is the biggest thing that we strive to teach and that we strive to instill in everybody that comes here to the Dog Pound Dojo is that this is a competition. There does need to be a sense of urgency inside of the ring, and bringing that the competitiveness, bringing that sense of urgency. All of that is what puts our product on a different level than some of the other independent products out there. um, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful or our stuff is better type of way. I just mean that, like, hey, there's chocolate and then there's vanilla and then there's also strawberry. And so our style of wrestling, what Rodney Mack and Jazz are teaching us, have taught us, is that old school competitive style of professional wrestling that also mixes in the athleticism and the mainly the athleticism that you're used to seeing today. Rodney Mack and Jazz, all of us here at the Dog Pound Dojo know how to wrestle. We know how to actually wrestle. We know how to put a match together. And then on top of doing all that, we can also work in those high flying, super athletic, creative sequences and spots that you're accustomed to seeing in modern day wrestling.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. And when you're working with Rodney Mack and Jazz, are there any pieces of advice that they're telling you that you've applied today?
Oh my goodness, everything that's ever come out of their mouth. um, there's so much, right? I mean, there's literally so much. I think one of the biggest things that I think one of the biggest pieces of advice that I have learned from Rodney Mack and Jazz is you never know who somebody is. Um, Now, progressing more in my wrestling career, I am finding myself in different situations, in different scenarios, and I'm in different places with people that I don't know, with people that I'm not sure what you do, what you don't do here. And so I think one of the biggest things that it seems so elementary and it seems so simple. It's something that I teach my 2-year old son, right? But it's like treat everybody with respect. Treat everybody polite and kindly because you never know who that person is. I was blessed with the opportunity to do some work for TNA Wrestling the last time that they were here in San Antonio. And I'm not even kidding. I ran into one of the guys, like one of the higher profile backstage people, executives at TNA. Like I ran into them at a gas station, like
Hmm.
4 miles down the road, and like just because I treated him nicely at that gas station, right? A couple of hours later, he sees me working for TNA and he's like, "Hey, wait, weren't you the dude at the gas station?" It was like, "Yes." And so just like little things like that that you don't think would be such an important wrestling lesson is actually like some of the most important wrestling lessons. So
Yeah.
uh just not treating people with respect because you never know who they are. That has been one of the absolute most biggest and eye-opening and just drilled into my head lessons that they've given me.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. It's a life lesson, Treat everybody with
Yes.
kindness, respect, and love and caring for people. That's what we're about here on Wrestling with Heart. And I know you've done a lot of charity work over the years, volunteered and found ways to help give back to your community. What are some of those ways that you've helped out over the years in your community?
Yeah, so as you and me were kind of talking, a lot of the charitable things that I do are actually through Dog Pound Dojo, Dog Pound Professional Championship Wrestling. We are a company um that truly believes in giving back to the community. We just did a non-televised show on the South Side, right? I believe it was free entrance for people. It's just something to give back to that community. For the past couple of years, we have also set up food donation sites, right? So we work with the food bank here in San Antonio.
Mhm.
We were setting up I believe it was like Headlock for Hunger during the Thanksgiving time. Like between Halloween and the week before Thanksgiving, we were asking for food donations to take to the food bank to help out those in need. And so really wrestling has proven, and I didn't think about this like when I started, right? None of us think about, or at least not all of us, right, think about things like that when we're trying to chase a dream. But some of the things that I have been able to do with wrestling uh, have been really special. Uh, my wife and I were just talking about all the cool things that we've done this year. And we went to Brady, Texas, which is the actual heart and center of Texas. And we visited some underprivileged handicapped kids. And that was something that we've been doing in Brady, Texas for a couple of years now. And those types of things are very, very special. They're very cool. There's something you don't think about when you're joining a professional wrestling industry. But it has been very cool. It has been very special to uh, be able to bring people just a little bit more joy, even if it's not there in the arena at ringside. It's still a very cool, cool thing that we're blessed to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's so heartwarming when you see people that are going through so much, you know, pain in their lives, they're going through a lot, and to brighten their day, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, it means so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, um, yeah, I know that going forward into 2025, Dog Pound, NWA Texas, the NWA as a whole, right? I know that on every level of what we're doing as an organization, community give back is always something that we try to include, something that we always try to engage with. We just recently opened up a new dojo here in San Antonio. We moved locations, and now we're a part of this complex. And so now we've been trying to like put together something for the complex, right? Invite them out to the dojo, see what we've got going on, and probably putting on like some sort of free show for them. And so just using what tools we have available, right, to give back in whatever way we can to the community is always super, super cool and always a lot more special than just your average show, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot when people are just, like I said, going through so much in their lives. They want to get that escape for a couple of hours. Wrestling fills that void, and for 2, 3 hours to go make someone's day by entertaining them takes their mind off of so much in their lives. So it's phenomenal. It's great that you're able to do that, and the NWA and the Texas style wrestling are really, really helping make a difference. That's what it's about, is really making a difference in the community. What is it about giving back that gives you the most joy?
Um, so I think it's just, I mean, I think it is really, it's the smiles. Even as like a wrestler inside of the ring, right? We're always working for a smile. You're always working to make those people forget for a couple of minutes or a couple of hours that, man, life's really hard out here. you know and so I would say, yeah, like, I mean, just looking out there when we go to these if we go to these schools, when we go to the boys and girls clubs of Bandera, when we go and visit these kids, seeing their faces light up, seeing them hear our stories, hopefully take some of our messages, right, about bullying, about drugs, about all those types of things, right, hearing us give them our stories, hopefully inspiring a couple of them, hopefully pulling some of those kids that may not think they have any other path onto the path of good, just really making a difference in people's lives. I did not think that that was something that I would get into the industry to do, right? But in reality, that is all we do, is affect people's lives and change people's lives in good ways or bad ways, whatever the desired outcome is. So seeing these kids just really light up when they see us walking in, I know how I would feel as a kid if I saw a bunch of wrestlers walking through the cafeteria door. Like, yeah.
What kind of messages do you tell the kids when you visit the schools?
My main message when I go to these schools is that your dreams are possible. I think that's the shortened version, is that no matter what cards you're dealt in life, no matter what your situation or scenario is, you can outwork it. You can absolutely outwork your circumstances, and you can become anything that you would like to be. If you had met me 7 years ago, 8 years ago, that's not the same person that I am today. And so that is my main message to these children, is to just continue to follow their dreams. I never wanted anything other than to be a professional wrestler. So, I am living proof that if you work hard, if you do the right things, that you can accomplish whatever you would like to do.
I love that. Well, this has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with you. I want to say it means a lot to me and my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Thank you so much. Where can people find more about you on social media? If you want to plug the school and plug any kind of events coming up that you want to promote, feel free to do so.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Stanley, thank you very much, not just for having me on, but for doing what you do. I truly believe that every level and medium of wrestling, podcast, stream shows, all of that, like, I think that the wrestling community, that we as a whole, right, wrestlers, fans, everybody that we have created, is phenomenal. So thank you for taking the time out of your life to do this, to talk to people about things that we all love. Everybody can follow me at Nathaniel Greysin, Greysin. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, X. I actually have a litany of things coming up. You caught me on my 10-day break. But starting at the first of the year, we've got 360 Texas, 360 Pro Wrestling in Moody, Texas. We have Dog Pound Championship Wrestling coming back to Big's Burger Joint in San Antonio, Texas at the end of January. And then you can follow everything that, not just myself, but NWA Texas, Dog Pound Championship Wrestling, Texas Style Wrestling. You can follow it all on all social media platforms. You can come see us, Forney, Texas, San Antonio, Texas. Those are the two main spots right now that NWA Texas is running. And you can always keep your eye out on all of the NWA promotions, all the territories, because you never know who will pop up and where.
Yeah, that's true. Never know who could show up at any point. Thanks again, Nathaniel, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Thank you very much, Stanley. You have a great night.
You too. This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.